welcome to the Mr. Hornsby. Hello, this is Mr. Hornsby 83, and you are at the Mr. Hornsby 83 show. And today is my video I talked about in the last Facebook Live I did on my regular Facebook page, where I'm going to talk about what would have happened had WCW not went out of business in 2001. It would not have been bought up by WWE. Like, if Bischoff would have got the backers to stay behind him, back the company, and would have owned the company. So, let's get into it. First off, let me get into some negative things that would have happened had WCW stayed in business. One, possibly bleeding, and despite what people feel about Impact right now, when Impact first came out, it was very good, but it has went down in quality a lot, but it is starting to get a little bit better, with, time. It's been getting better and better. But, first of all, had WCW not went out of business, we probably would not have gotten Impact Wrestling, aka TNA before that, NWA, TNA, whatever. But so it wouldn't have went out of. We would have never got TNA Wrestling. And there's a possibility we may not have even gotten Ring of Honor when WCW went out of business. But we got Ring of Honor and we got Impact Wrestling still. We're about to have an All Elite Wrestling. We got New Japan. So there's a ton of wrestling. So that's a couple of the negative things that possibly wouldn't have happened had WCW stayed in business. Maybe some good things that might have happened had WCW stayed in business. Maybe WWE wouldn't have just gave up the way they did in the mid-2000s, because right at that point, right in the mid-2000s is when WWE really started going downhill. It was still kind of good, still entertaining. You still have big names like Batista, Edge, John Cena. They were all the big top guys at the time. Randy Orton, blah, 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 blah. But what if WCW had stayed in business? Would guys like Batista not be in WWE at the time that they were? Would they have been in WCW? Fighting for WCW championships or whatnot. You never know. Because that's the thing about having options. You could have a guy on one wrestling and a guy on another. Would Brock Lesnar have probably stayed in WWE longer? Maybe. And a lot of people said even if they had survived to 2001, they probably would have still died, just not at 2001. Maybe that was a possibility. But like I said in my Rise and Fall of WCW that I did last year, when I came back on YouTube, I said, the way things were looking early 2001, it looked like they were starting to get back on track and get their stuff back together and start, I guess getting a little bit better with management. But, you never know. Now, had WCW stayed alive in 2001, would they have kept pushing the older guys like Hogan, Flair, Sting, Luger, Hall, Nash? Even though Hall and Nash are a little bit younger than what Hogan, Flair, Luger, and Sting were. Would they have started pushing those guys? Or would they, and like I said, it looked like they were phasing those guys out in 2001. And honestly, I think had WCW stayed in business, guys like Booker T, Scott Steiner, Goldberg, all those guys. Well, Goldberg already became a mega superstar. DDP became a mega superstar as well. All those guys probably would have got the chance to become even bigger stars and improve even more. And possibly, went on, But then there was other guy, DDP, who was pretty old when he started his wrestling career. He had been with WCW as a manager or, you know, a valet guy or whatever they would make him. But he didn't really start really wrestling in WCW until he was like in his, I think, what, late 30s or something like that. Somewhere around that age. But him and Goldberg were two guys they made superstars. They probably would have did the same thing for Steiner and Booker T, because it looked like I said, looked like they were trying to phase out some of the older guys. Ric Flair was a freaking president running the company. Would Bischoff was still had Flair play that character? Probably. You know, so many possibilities with WCW, because, you know, maybe John Cena does it. I mean, John Cena was in Ready to Rumble, so maybe John Cena goes to WCW and they force feed him us instead of WWE. Well, we can watch WWE and watch a better wrestler on top, like maybe a Brock Lesnar or something, or like Batista or whatever. But you know, and despite what I think about Brock Lesnar, early in his career he was pretty good. I think, though, what WCW probably would have did had they still been around and stayed in business, they probably would have pillaged guys like, let's say Kurt Angle still leaves WWE, I think it was like 2006, at the end of 2006 or 2007, 2008, somewhere there. Maybe they pick up guys like a Jeff Hardy, Kurt Angle and that instead of freaking TNA, because like I said, TNA probably wouldn't have existed because Jeff Jarrett would still be employed with WCW, and hopefully he would have, you know, phased out and been in a management position, because nobody wants to see him as WCW champion at all, or a top champion period. But, you know, he was top champion in NWA and, well, NWA TNA, and then it was TNA, and then, you know, maybe guys like Abyss go to WCW. Maybe AJ Styles goes to WCW, makes a name for himself. Even though AJ Styles was a part of WCW when he first joined the company, so like right before they went out of business, he had signed a contract and only got like a, I guess, one of those dark matches. Christopher Daniels, all those guys, would they have got, you know, noticed by Eric Bischoff at WCW? And they brought those guys in and started pushing them. That's a possibility too. Daniel Bryan probably could have started in WCW instead of Ring of Honor. But like I said, like I established before, if, you know, maybe if WCW stayed in business, the negatives would have been we probably wouldn't have got TNA or ROH. But, you know, what else? One thing we know for sure, there wouldn't have been a reign of terror by Triple H through 2002 to 2004 in WWE. Well, actually, it was till 2005, because every freaking time he ended up getting the title back. I think of some other things. But I think, you know, what would have happened is WCW would have eventually started picking off guys that were leaving WWE because Attitude Era was over. Their Attitude Era guys like Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, you know, maybe Austin. I don't think The Rock, well, I don't know about Austin. Probably not Austin. Austin, I don't think would go back to WCW. Maybe The Rock, maybe not. Maybe Triple H eventually went to WCW, maybe not. Undertaker, I don't know. So, yeah, possibility, but I don't know. Undertaker's too loyal to WWE, so probably not. But, like, if guys like Batista and that did end up being on WCW instead of WWE, they would have held this version of the big gold title, which was the WCW version, which already been established by people that's done comparisons to the belt, and people that, you know, and I've done a couple comparisons with the figure belts, that, you know, the WCW version of the World Heavyweight title was a little bit bigger. That's not what we're here to talk about. Speaking of which, if you see right there that Ron Simmons, I will have a review on that. And I got a little complaint about the belt. Just a minor complaint, but you know. Alright, so let's see what else. You know, maybe guys like Samoa Joe and that would have been in WCW too. And they would have become superstars because, you know, those guys would have been new generation. Sting probably would have never signed with WWE. That's probably another negative. Is Sting would, but then again, Sting's career probably wouldn't have got ended either by fighting somebody like Seth Rollins for the freaking WWE Championship. He gets injured on a buckle bomb. But Sting wasn't used to that style of wrestling. Why they put Sting in a match with someone that does that style of wrestling is beyond me. But then again, you think about it, WWE might have pushed guys that WCW got rid of and didn't push. Had, you know, WCW stayed in business, like WCW gets rid of someone like, I don't know, some of the young guys they were pushing, like, they get rid of Billy Kidman. WWE takes him, makes him a top star, makes him a champion. You never know. At least the Intercontinental Champion. We would have never got a brand split had WCW stayed in business either. It would have still been one freakish show. Well, it would have been two WWE shows. And, you know, Raw was originally going to become WCW, but because of a Booker T, Buff Bagwell match, that didn't happen. And they decided, but, you know, Raw, when the brand split first started, still was kind of predominantly WCW guys. Because you had Booker T, you had Scott Steiner, you brung in Goldberg. You had guys that probably would have been WCW guys had WCW not went out of business in 2001. You had Benoit on the show eventually. You had Jericho on the show eventually. Then you had some ECW guys like Rob Van Dam and that. So it was predominantly the WCW show still, but it was still called Raw. Even until they, you know, decided to make it a little bit smaller and put a WWE logo on it, even had the WCW version of the big gold belt on the show. But, yeah, I think that's what would have happened had WCW not went out of business. Let's see if there's anything else I can think of. That I know of. I think there was a possibility that Shawn Michaels, since he was allegedly retired, probably would have, if he felt like he was good enough to freaking wrestle again, he probably would have ended up in WCW. Eventually. And, you know, like I said, they probably would have, hopefully they would have phased out some of the older guys and started pushing their younger guys. But you never know. But I think that's pretty much all I could think of. Or, you know, if WCW, what would have happened if WCW would not have went out of business. I touched on some good things, I touched on some bad things, I touched on, you know, a few in between things, you know. So, yeah. Now, this is not the end of my WCW, you know, run. Next week, I'm going to do WCW Championship in 99. I will talk about how many freaking times that title switched hands, especially one time that ticked me off. Actually, 2 times that ticked me off with the guy that I kept saying should have been the freaking champion. Pretty sure if you guys seen some of my other WCW videos, like Rise and Fall, you know what I'm talking about. But a guy that, you know, should have been freaking champion sooner than what he was. Then when he finally gets the championship, his freaking reign gets screwed up, all whacked out of shape and that. I'll talk more about that in my WCW championship, in my WCW title in 99. Next week, Saturday, I'm going to review The Predator, and probably since I no longer have a Facebook fan page, and, you know, until I figure out what other platform I'm going to use to do, like, you know, stuff like, you know, my gameplays, my you know, DVD and Blu-ray, DVD, Blu-ray, VHS commentary. Till I figure out what platform I want to do that on. I will be, you know, doing reviews on Friday. The only reason I'm waiting until Saturday is because I'm probably going to be, because, you know, I'll probably be wore out, so. Saturday, I'll have my review of The Predator. I'm going to talk about my schedule on that review as well, my YouTube schedule. That'll do it for now. I'll do shout-outs on my next video. Catch you guys later. And let me know what you guys think, what would have happened had WCW not went out of business. Catch you guys later. Peace out.